All right, they're going to go ahead and send in the next guest. Everybody sure to give us a thumbs up and a share. Let's keep spreading this video and say hello in the chat. We think we got the video and the audio working, so it's going pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and bring in the next guest now. And here they are. So let's see.
Yes, true about the face recognition tech. It's only a time until they can like read your retinas from a massive distance.
All right, come on down. We've got the next guest ready to go.
Hi guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Victor, nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Tom. Nice to meet you. Come on in. We got a microphone there, microphone there. You're gonna just flip it on with the switch there. Make sure it's on. And then we're
socks, yeah.
yeah.
I got some red ones.
I put a sticker on to cover the brand.
Ah, there it is. Everyone should do that. Cover their brands up with Bitcoin.
Is it on?
So you guys are from Rockaway Blockchain.
Yeah, Rockaway Blockchain.
Yeah.
So what do you guys do at Rockaway Blockchain?
So we are actually part of Rockaway Capital.
Okay.
It's a traditional venture capital firm here in Europe
All right.
with around 50 companies in our portfolio, $2.4 billion sales of all the companies.
Nice.
And a bit like Andreessen Horowitz in the US, 2 years ago, we created a blockchain division,
Okay.
which is called Rockaway Blockchain. And right now, well, nobody knows about it yet, but it's semi-public. We have just did a spin-off of that division into a separate fund, which is called Rockaway Blockchain Fund.
All right. So you guys are focused on investing in cryptocurrency and related projects, things like that?
No, so we don't really invest into existing cryptocurrencies, but we mostly use the approach of a traditional VC to invest into infrastructure. So we look at exchanges, into wallets, custodians, like my grandparents are still not using crypto because it's so complicated. Yeah,
Sure,
even trust
sure.
wallets. Yeah, you install it, you open, you have to, put the seed and write
Yeah,
it down
yeah.
on paper. And secondly, we also look at open finance, we call it. Some in the US it's called DeFi, like lending platforms, borrowing platforms,
Sure.
like Maker, insurances, payments, remittances. And thirdly, we look at resource monetization. So for example, decentralized storage of files or networking. But Dusan is the leading our deal flow and chief investment guy, and much smarter than me.
Oh, thank you.
So is there any particular area that you're focusing on at the moment? So, wallets specifically or protocols?
So we have identified the DeFi space as something to focus on. I think that is one of the very few areas where crypto has traction recently. I mean, we are watching the DeFi pools kind of a lot, and like looking at the fundamental values. I mean, we are traditionally in crypto, we are searching for fundamentals, and we see value, like real value for user in the DeFi space. So this is where most of our focus is currently on. We have been putting a lot of efforts to understand what we call a resource monetization space, which is the, let's say, decentralized cloud computing, decentralized networks, decentralized data monetization. But I mean, there are a lot of discussion that we had, there was, but we don't think the timing is right at this moment. I mean, when like some rule of thumb in the traditional investing is you need to be either 10 times better or 10 times cheaper for the users to migrate to your platform, for example, comparing to AWS. And we don't see such move happening anytime soon.
And what move do you think will be the first, the first indicator that time is right?
That's actually a very good question. And I think what we have been, or what we see first is the decentralized storage platforms getting traction, like for example, IPFS or Filecoin and this is, I think this will be a good indicators for the more complicated cloud computing platforms to be at a very good starting point for users to get some traction.
I would also like payment infrastructure to be stronger. I own 3 bars in the city center of Prague. We accept crypto. Nobody pays with crypto but me. Yeah. and why? Because it's basically my barman have to look at the mobile phone of the customer to see if the transaction went through.
Sure.
Yeah? Right. We use coinpayments.net. Yeah. And so the solutions are not there yet.
Well, there's you should check out World CryptoNet. Ben's videos. Ben creates these point of sale devices, so that could be something you could look into.
And he's making them at like more the hobbyist level. You could make your own, but there's not quite a cash register. So we have one here from General Bytes that seems pretty good. But even then, they're taking zero confirmations, which could be a risk. If you're selling a beer, it's fine. If you're selling a Ferrari, probably not a good idea.
Yeah, we sell Dom Perignon champagne bottles.
You gotta watch that one. Yeah, so you have that, but not bottle service. No.
So what would, just out of curiosity for the viewers, what are the names of well, not just the viewers, I want to know for tonight, for the name of the 3 bars you going?
So the main one is called Valmont. Yeah, Valmont, like the movie by Miloš Forman, the very famous Czech director. And actually, that movie is very interesting because it's a complete failure. Yeah, because there were 2 studios competing for that movie, and the other studio was much faster than Miloš Forman, and it was called Cruel Intentions, the movie. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
And Cruel Intentions had actors which were very much known. I think Michelle Pfeiffer or someone. Sure. So it was much more commercial oriented. And then the production studio of Miloš Forman, they asked him, so should we also accelerate or are we dropping? And he said, no, we are going to do it much better. Our product will be better, but ultimately he failed. The product was much better. So the costumes are amazing at Valmont. If you saw the movie, it's an amazing movie, but the customers did not have appetite to go and watch the same story 6 months after.
A similar thing happened in the 70s where Stanley Kubrick was working on a film of Napoleon. And of course, at a Kubrick level, he was doing incredible research. He knew where everyone was in every battle. At the same time, Hollywood was cranking out one of the old Napoleon movies, and they canceled Kubrick's Napoleon because some generic Napoleon came out and no one cared, and the notes are lost forever, and the card catalog's full of data he generated and all that. So,
and isn't there also a movie, Steve Jobs movie?
There's 2 that came out simultaneously as well. It seems to be a trend, the volcano movies, the earthquake movies, the Jobs movies. Yeah. They get the same idea. Then, Rocket Man and Bohemian Rhapsody, the rock star movies. It's a lot of trends in Hollywood.
So, so in the movies, definitely there is first mover advantage. Let's see how it plays out in cryptocurrencies. Yeah.
Well, and going back to the VC, have you guys already found a lot of companies to invest, or are you just at the early stage where you're looking for companies to invest?
We have actually invested in 9 projects or companies so far.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them are in US and in Asia. I mean, we have 9 investments, 4 are in US, 4 in Asia.
Yeah.
And our last investment that went public, like I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, was Vega Protocol.
Okay.
Which is a decentralized platforms for derivatives.
Interesting.
And it's a European company from London. It's our first European portfolio company. So we need to celebrate that in my bar, ordering a bottle of champagne.
Just don't pay with zero confirmation.
We are very excited about that project. Raised 5 million, led by Pantera Capital. Yeah, and we are one of the European investors.
And what kind of investments are you looking for? If you described your perfect unknown company now, would people come to you? Would they be existing? Would they be at the project stage?
So we would rather invest at the point where the project is seeing some initial interest from the customers or from the users.
Something that has traction.
Yeah, something that has traction. We don't really like to, invest in very early stage because in markets that are not unproven.
Sure.
So I think looking at the space in general on the other side, there is not many of the projects that have traction already with some users. Yeah. So we need to compromise on this a little bit.
Yeah.
So we are okay investing in seed, and this is what we do at this point. But we would prefer at later stage to invest in companies that are like somehow already.
I would say we are not really good at early stages, although we are both computer science programmers. But there are other VCs who are much better to help with token economics or just maybe some programming language improvements. We are much better at scaling the user base because we are part of Rockaway Capital, so we have several businesses, and then we can help scale also with corporate business development. So if there is a coin for e-commerce, we are big in e-commerce, we can scale it through our companies.
it can be very difficult to see the winners and the losers from a very early stage. And then also it's your appetite for risk. Some investors only want to be the last investment in a successful thing. Others are willing to be the first investment to take the more risk. So it just depends where you are on that scale.
And we have a 100 million fund right now, the one which we basically spun off. Yeah. And we expect to invest into 40 companies. Yeah. So if you divide it, you can see that the average ticket is already relatively high.
What I would like to add to the investment thesis that we like to compare the projects or the companies that we are looking at, not to the crypto space, like isolated, but to the general space, also the traditional industry that the project is somehow competing. So I think like what I like to summarize in one sentence when somebody is asking me what do we invest in, I say we invest in use cases. and then we come to the detail of okay, the infrastructure use cases like exchanges or wallets and so the stuff Victor was talking about, and the DeFi and resource monetization.
I think that's one of the biggest problems with well, there were many, but the 2017 ICO craze was that there was this fantasy that they would raise the money and then suddenly they'd infiltrate the real world. And that's it, bang, they've raised the money, they're gonna make it now. And you know, there's so many use cases that sounded good, but when they were actually tried out, it's very difficult to get the normies involved, get the non-crypto people involved.
Yeah, totally. I think the future of successful investing in crypto is to invest in companies that are targeting these real world use cases. I mean,
and successfully.
Successfully. What I have struggling to understand is why this ecosystem is somehow, or there are some people claiming or falling into the thinking that doing a general purpose platform is somehow way to success. Of course, there is a chance it might succeed, but from the venture perspective, it's very little. And I mean, looking at the software development space in the past, it has been very common for people to be stuck in the garage and developing something, and then when they are live or where they are completed, they expect that the world will just take them and build on top of them. And this never happens, or it happens very, very rarely.
And this is known fact. So if you read the book Crossing the Chasm by Jeffrey Moore, he explains that you have to have a use case, you have to have an final customer, and you have to have a full product in order to cross the chasm. Yeah? Ethereum did that with ICOs. ICOs is basically crowdfunding, and why people were putting so much money, Filecoin 250 million, because of speculation. Speculation, basically, the main value proposition of cryptocurrency so far has been getting rich quickly. Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah, people have been trading and speculating since long time on many things. Even, and actually, Alex from Dragonfly has a very good blog post on this. Yeah, and he basically says that, you know, FX trading, it's 80% speculation. Yeah. But cryptocurrencies are much better for trading and kind of speculating because, you know, it's proven. Yeah, you have a blockchain where you can see it actually exists versus art where you have to have some auditor who check where Mona Lisa is actually really Mona Lisa. Yeah?
Exactly.
And it's also easy to transact and much better, you know, and many more other features which make it just perfect for trading.
And our friend Theo has also said that speculation is a perfectly valid use case.
Totally.
It drives people a little crazy because they want to do remittances or they want to do payments or they want to do digital gold. There's a lot of fun and exciting, dramatic use cases, but speculation is something real. Hype is something real. People want to make more money or lose all their money or whatever. And so it does happen. It's also, with these investments and things, very much a matter of timing. If you were pets.com, you failed to serve online. You failed to serve online. But if you were chewy.com 15 years later, everyone has a computer, everyone orders pet food, and now it works.
And I think, so for us as a VC, there has to be a use case. And trading and speculation is a use case. So for us, you know, this space is validated as an investment space, number one. And number two, we see other use cases which are now becoming real and with traction. So I don't know, insurance, for example, you can today insure smart contracts via projects like Nexus Mutual. You can do lending, borrowing on either decentralized like Compound or centralized platforms like Celsius.
Yes, yeah. So they is it 200 million they've done of is that what a figure I heard?
I think it's even more. I heard some 300 million Celsius. MakerDAO now has, I think, around 250 million of assets locked into their smart contracts. Compound has, if you look at their website, $150 million of basically available cash to be borrowed. Yeah, insurance, Nexus Mutual has right now 2 million, but 2 months ago it was $600,000 available to actually insure smart contracts against hacking. There really is traction, and we are so excited. Yeah, so I'm not spending any more time on traditional VC anymore. I completely delegate to my colleagues. We are crypto guys now, and we don't sleep and we work over weekends. Yeah.
Well, this is great to hear because we've had these ideas kicking around for a long time, things like loans and insurance and derivatives, things like that. I worked for BTC Jam back in the day, and we did some very early crypto loans, and it was pretty much a catastrophic failure. You let the people take the money off the site, they run off with it. Yeah. These newer ideas, letting people lend money just for margin trading on an exchange, don't let them take it off the website. That's a smart idea. And to see these things take off and work and implement many of the same ideas we had before, and then maybe even get to person-to-person lending, other options like this later on. So,
and I think just like you say, it's timing.
Yeah, it really is, because we were there, and a friend of mine was working on kind of health insurance blockchains, and he was way too early on that too. And we all knew it, but what can you do? You have the idea when you have the idea. You can't choose when to have it. So
if anyone would be asking, like, what's the next thing to somehow pop up, I would bet on decentralized insurance. For example, as Victor has mentioned, the Nexus Mutual project, which is actually you are able to insure yourself against loss of funds on the contract. And like looking at the DeFi space, why we are asking ourselves the question, why are the interest rates on compounded high? And probably the answer is because there is not enough cash. That means there is this asymmetry on the market. So what is like preventing people to put cash into the ecosystem, to earn 8% PA? Is like a lot of, it's a good interest rate for a traditional space. So what we are coming to a conclusion that the onboarding process is somehow difficult, and the people cannot manage the risk very well, especially with crypto. Yeah. So bringing something that they can insure themselves against is somehow, or can break the barrier or lower the barrier a little bit.
Yeah, I did hear one use case that sounded quite cool. I'm not sure if it was ever implemented, but they kind of pointed out that one of the problems that you have with certain areas of insurance is the oracles, the data feeding whether something happened. So, but one that seemed to be cracked, I'm not sure if it did, is like airlines. So if you're airline insurance, if your airline's late, there's plenty of data out there that's trusted, as it were, and then it pays out on that. Do you know of any other use cases like that in terms of insurance where they're kind of, it's easily programmable?
To be honest, no.
There's not many, I don't think. It's very difficult.
Pretty good case. Yeah.
I would say, so on one extreme, we are very excited by decentralized insurance. On the other extreme, we are not excited at all, and we think it's complete bullshit. It's blockchain for enterprise. Yeah. And when you think about it, and we invested into Argo, so it's a blockchain for enterprise. Fantastic teams. They were, doing sales of Red Hat, so they know exactly how to sell open source. Yeah. When you think about it, actually, blockchain for enterprise only has value proposition when there are multiple parties that you have to connect through a third party, authority to which anybody can trust. Yeah. Otherwise, you put a central database, and it's much faster and it's much easier.
Yeah.
And it only applies, for example, in trade finance or in supply chain, but there actually the parties of the entire value chain do not want to cooperate, yeah, because of like miseconomics, yeah. So in fair trade, you have transport and a bank and a transporter and another bank, and somehow they don't want to disclose how much they are earning on every transaction. So
Definitely.
blockchain for enterprise, we don't think it's a use case, maybe far down the road. So that's the other extreme. Insurance, very excited about. Blockchain for enterprise, not at all.
It seemed like for a lot of those, they were just skipping over the step of having a database and digitizing their information. I know I worked on it at a law firm, and we did a case once that was all about the transport of gasoline. And you'd probably be surprised and horrified to learn that most truck drivers have a clipboard full of paper, and they're writing down how much gasoline they dropped off at which station. And later on, somebody scans the paper, and it comes to us for the lawsuit. All they have to do is digitize that. Yeah. I trust the truck driver to enter the gasoline, has it in the truck, truck's empty at the end of the day, it all worked out. I trust the gasoline station to receive the gasoline. We don't exactly need a infallible blockchain or all the overhead that comes with it, yet many very expensive blockchain projects are now solving this problem with a blockchain.
Central database, it's faster and cheaper.
Yeah, and I just don't think the truck driver is a hacker. I just don't think the agricultural guy, the guy with the farm, is a hacker, or the diamond miner or whatever. And again, if you lie to the blockchain, if you put bad data in it, it's going to be permanent bad data. Yeah, the blockchain is not a checker. It's not measuring how much gasoline or if it's an organic farm or whatever. It's just bad data goes in, bad data comes out. So it's been a big puzzle to me, but hundreds of millions of dollars, finance people, I must be wrong, but I'll wait it out and see how it goes, So.
Yeah, there are good projects in targeting this space. Cadena also, it's a very from technical perspective, very solid project. I just hope they will pivot to other end user.
Is that, sorry, Cardano?
No, Cadena.
Cadena.
Kadena.
Yeah. So much new stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we are like early guys. Yeah. We take a look at stuff which has not been released yet. Yeah.
Totally. Well, very cool. Where can people learn more about Rockaway Blockchain?
It's rockawayblockchain.com.
There you go.
Or just visit us. So Dusan is going to DEF CON.
Yeah, we are at out of events. I'm going to Osaka tomorrow for DEF CON.
You will speak.
Blockchain.
What is the topic you will speak about in DEF CON?
Governance of decentralized protocols.
Excellent. And so you're looking for companies. So if people have traction, they have an idea, they could bring it to you or send it to you, get an evaluation, see if you guys are an investor.
I think if people are developing solutions on DeFi, we are very interested. Feel free to approach us. We are very happy to talk with you.
And we are
also provide a feedback.
We are all computer science guys and entrepreneurs. So after the investment, we help with European expansion.
Yeah.
That's great. And we've talked earlier about how approachable everyone is. And it's great to hear that even VC could be approachable, even, investments that could really help your company and change your life. You just got to get out there, put your information up. If you have a good company, if you guys match up, it could work out.
I think there is a general misconception that VCs are not approachable. Actually, I don't know how.
They might start with the suits. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
that's why we're dressed like this.
Yeah, I know you guys look very casual and comfortable today, so I like it. But
yeah, maybe if there is a guy in suit versus a guy in hoodie.
Yeah,
there's
it's a little different culture. But then even then, when they make the hoodie guys go on TV, they always wear a tie or they wear some nice slacks or something. So,
but it's interesting because so to open a bank account for a blockchain fund, and our fund is on Cayman Islands, and we are based in Czech Republic. 24 banks said no to us, because either we are on Cayman, or we do blockchain, so they don't understand it, or we are from Czech Republic, which sounds a bit like Chechnya, and then they ask if there is still war ongoing.
Yeah.
And so with Dusan, we went together.
But it's actually not funny. Yeah, it really happens.
Yeah.
Sure. No.
Yeah, I mean.
No, well, it's just terrible that it does still happen though.
Yeah.
Like, how long ago was that? Many years, wasn't it?
Yeah, let's not talk about it.
Yeah, so
it's interesting to hear VCs are affected by the same problem that might affect maybe a marijuana business in the US. You just can't get a bank account, or a crypto business anywhere. You just can't get a bank account, and you're trying to be on the up and up. You're trying to follow the regulations. You can't even get in the door opening an account. you
Yeah.
know?
So interesting story was that we then visited banks in Switzerland, yeah, because we are close and we can
I've
build
heard good
relationships.
things, heard
Yeah,
good
good,
things.
like really good things. And then we dressed up nicely. Yeah, so we had like shirts, and we bought suits. You know, we went to Zara and bought some because and then we were sitting there.
Expense account.
We were sitting there, and the banker had some question, and Dusan took his computer from his bag with plenty of stickers, like Ethereum, Ethereum,
That
and
was
to
so
the moon
funny.
sticker. And then the banker's like, "Oh shit, no bank account for you."
Well, and it's funny because in the hacker culture, it's the opposite thing. Don't trust anyone who has a laptop with no stickers.
Yeah,
They have
exactly.
lots of stickers. Oh, they must be one
Yeah.
of the thing. But yeah, you gotta watch for that with the banks.
Yeah.
It's getting worse and worse. And even
Yeah.
I heard New Zealand, maybe New Zealand or Australia, where somebody had a Bitcoin sticker on their laptop, and that was a huge problem. So maybe they were gonna check his laptop and everything. So it's starting to be your stickers exposed maybe too much. You want to just get some cartoon stickers or something.
Yeah, actually, I am always waiting for people to stop me at the airport.
Yeah.
But for me, it has never happened really. You know, and I'm surprised. I'm waiting for that moment.
Yeah.
Still.
I always feel so embarrassed. I want to flip my laptop upside down in the scanner. I'm like, just don't look. It's an art project. Don't look at my art
But
project.
sometimes what happened to you is that we go often to the US for conferences, and once at the border you said that you were going to visit the crypto
That was
conference,
a big mistake.
and then they got you separate and like full body scan and everything, you know, undress yourself, clothes off.
You just say I like internet security, and if they come to me, they're like, "Oh, it's a hacker conference." I was like, "Well, I want to learn from the best and do the best for my company."
You know what? The girl was really interested, and I thought like she's genuinely interested, but she was taking it really bad.
fishing for it.
No, you fell for her, man. You fell.
I fell for it so easily.
Classic spy technique.
And it's happened in New Zealand, hasn't it? Where they've said, New Zealand, Australia, they're saying, right, you've got to open your phone up, open your file
And then
system
people
up,
are like, well, I'm not going to New Zealand anymore. They just marked it off, which is sad because they have all the Hobbit stuff from Lord of the Rings.
And same
now.
Tel Aviv Ben Gurion Airport. So once they did like a scanner of my laptop, and then the machine beeped. And now every time I go to Tel Aviv, I'm like randomly selected for a security check. Yeah.
Well, they have fantastic
blacklist.
security over there. It's completely different than the theater we have in the U.S. They have actual security.
Yeah.
So I respect that. But yeah, it's too bad you're on that list because you're not getting off.
It's okay.
But
I have nothing to hide.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you guys so much from Rockaway Capital and Rockaway Blockchain.
Thank you for hosting.
Thank you so much.
Cool.
Yeah.
And any last message you want to get across?
Yeah, to the moon.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. To the moon.
Thanks for having you on.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank
Take care.
Very interesting stuff. Thank you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
All right.